Hare Krishna, my dear Prabhus, dear Matajis. Good morning. Thank you for joining our morning japa session. For those who are listening sa ating Facebook and ating Zoom, good morning, good morning. That japa session is every day, 5:30 to 7 a.m. You can log in and log out anytime. You can chant your rounds with us in association with devotees. So hello, Hare Krishna, Moksha Lakshmi Mataji, Mata. Riza Mataji, Shama Bihari Prabhu, Rolly Prabhu, Paolo Prabhu, Johnny Mataji, Christine Mataji, and those who are watching sa ating Facebook Live. Good morning. So you know the drill. Before we enter the realm of the study sa ating Srimad Bhagavatam, we should be always in the right mood, in the mood of request, in the mood of humility. So join me as we recite the invocation mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvati Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashta Pireshwa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Utamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So, it was mentioned here, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Serving the book Bhagavatam, which is everyday study ng ating Srimad Bhagavatam. If we could distribute Srimad Bhagavatam and other Sri Prabhupada books, that would be the best. And also, of course, serving the person Bhagavata, those who are living their lives in accordance sa ating Srimad Bhagavatam, those who are the pure devotees, the gurus. So these two, yung formal neto, Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya. We must serve them both. So ang ating nakaraan, previously si Krishna have entered Dwarka already. And napakaganda ng mga discussion natin doon kasi we learned that Krishna had 16,108 wives. Mga queens lahat yon. And these queens have their own palaces sa Dwarka. Hindi siya sila nagkasama sa isang bahay. Isang queen, isang palace. And one may think, uy, ang dami ng mga asawa ni Krishna. Paano kaya natatandaan ni Krishna yung pangalan? No? Kaya everyday isang babae kinakasal. No, it was very different because Krishna could expand himself unlimitedly. The yogi, si Kardama Muni, yung tatay ni Kapila Muni, could expand himself 9 times. Sabi nga, though yogi could only expand himself 10 folds. Ayun na yung maximum na magagawa ng isang mystic yogi. But Krishna could expand himself unlimitedly, 16,108. Sa when he's doing the rasa dance, same thing. Feeling ng mga gopis sa Brindavan, lahat sila kasayaw si Krishna, solo si Krishna. And di lang yun. Krishna expanded himself as Chirodakashaya Vishnu in everyone's heart. As the super soul, the Paramatma. So ayun, di mo na mabibilang. Kung gaano karaming tao nakikita mo, gaano karaming living entities nakikita mo, moving and non-moving living entities, Krishna expanded himself. And solong-solo mo si Krishna. There was a movie, sumikat yon. Tapos, alam mo to sino yung bida doon. Basta bata pa yung mga, maraming child star nun. Tanging yaman yata yun. Tapos, napulot ko yung clip, nagkatanong yung bata. Hindi ba nalilito yung Diyos? Kasi ang dami nagdadasal sa kanya. Ang daming humihiling gumaling, humihiling ng ganitong bagay. Diba? No, hindi siya malilito ever. Diba? Hindi niya naririnig sabay-sabay yon. Parang pag pumunta ka lang sa classroom na maingay, marami kang maririnig nag-uusap, no? Solo mo si Krishna. Solo ka rin ni Krishna. Everyone. Diba? He can expand himself unlimited. All-pervasive. So these queens, nung winelcome nila si Krishna, they stand up from their meditation. Sino yung minimeditate nila? Si Krishna rin. And we learn about yung characteristic and qualities ng magiging chaste na asawa and queen. And they left all yung mga ginagawa nila just to welcome Krishna. Nakakatawa doon kasi they let muna yung mga anak ni Krishna to hug them because that is their representative. Of course, hindi na rin mapigilan yung pag-hug kay Krishna. And in every palaces, si Krishna pumunta doon with different activities. There was a pastime si Narada Muni, titignan niya si Krishna doon sa isang palace. Pagpunta niya sa ibang palace, andun din si Krishna. Pero iba-ibang ginagawa nila. Hindi walang parang lang, copy-paste lang. Hindi. Magkakaiba totally. So, nalihis yung actually usapan nila rito. Saunaka Rishi sa Naimisaranya. Habang ni-discuss niya yung life ni Maharaj Pariksit, biglang kunento niya yung backstory. Kung paano siya sinave, kumbaga backstory ng mga ancestor niya, Pandavas. Tapos napahapiawan doon yung story kung paano siya sinave sa Chan, from the Brahmastra, tapos biglang napunta doon sa story kung paano pinarosahan si Ashvatam, tapos paano yung alis si Krishna, dumating si Queen Kunti, tapos si Yudhishthira Maharaj, tapos napunta kay Bhishmadev, tapos nung umalis na si Krishna sa Hastinapur, papunta na sa Dwarka. Ngayon, nagtanong na uli yung mga sages in Naimisaranya. Gusto nila ibalik yung storya. Kasi lumis na onte. Well, those are very important na mga topics na pinag-uusapan nila. Gusto nila ibalik. Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, entitled Creation. We are now at chapter 12, beginning at chapter 12, entitled The Birth of Emperor Pariksit. So, unang-una, kunento na natin dito yung usapan ni Suka Goswami sa kanya, King Pariksit. And you've learned na maraming tanong yung mga sages in Naimisaranya. Text number 1, translation. The sage Saunaka said, the womb of Uttara, mother of Maharaj Pariksit, was pawed by the dreadful and invisible Brahmastra weapon released by Ashvatam. But Maharaj Pariksit was saved by the Supreme Lord. So what happened here is, ayun nga, bumalik na dun sa usapan nila, aside from sa mga lihis na, not lihis, parang backstory, para makilala yung mga character dun sa flow ng Srimad Bhagavatam. Basahin natin text number 2. Continuation kasi ito ng question niya. How was the great Emperor Pariksit, who was highly intelligent and great devotee, born in that womb? How did his death take place? And how did he achieve after? What did he achieve after his death? So, tatlong question. Paano siya pinanganak? Paano siya namatay? And ano yung na-achieve niya nung namatay na siya after that? So again, this is being explained by Srila Prabhupada na this time, emperor yung leadership type na meron sa buong mundo. Emperor means one emperor sa buong mundo and there will be sub-kings, di ba? Pero it was mentioned here, until the son ni Emperor Pariksit. So, from Yudhishthir Maharaj, Emperor Pariksit, dan yung anak ni Emperor Pariksit. Tapos, ang alam ko, dinivide na nila yun. And, yes, sabi ni Pariksit Maharaj dito, paano nagsimula yung death niya, it was being described by Srila Prabhupada, is he was cursed by the son of a Brahmana named Shringi. So, balikan lang natin yung story nung nakaraan. Because King Pariksit put a garland of dead snake sa dad niya, sa dad ni Shringi. Kasi feeling ni Pariksit Maharaj, hindi siya pinapansin. So, this is the first onslaught ng Kali Yuga. This Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, hindi siya parang, bukas Kali Yuga na. Hindi, meron siyang gap, meron siyang, how do you call this? Overlapping yan, nag-overlap. So, Dwapara Yuga, tapos mag-overlap, papuntang Kali Yuga. So, yung time ng Mahabharat, andun sila sa overlap. Nung pag-alis ni Krishna, departure ni Krishna, doon nagsimula yung Kali Yuga mismo. Natapos na yung overlapping. And the first symptoms ng Kali Yuga was mentioned by Srila Prabhupada here. Yung mga, the first sign of misgivings was exhibited in the cursing of such a great, intelligent, and devoted king as Maharaj Pariksit. Yung mga Brahmana was started to be degraded. And ayun yung first na ganap. The Brahmana Shringi, the boy, cursed King Pariksit. It was, kumbaga, parang OA. Sabi nga yung perfect analogy dyan, para may langaw dun sa bahay mo, tapos kuha ka ng machine gun, tapos pagbabaril mo yung langaw hanggang masira yung buong bahay. Same thing. For a small mistake, we overreacted. I don't know if na-experience nyo yun. May malit na bagay, tapos nag-overreact tayo, tapos lumala na yung sitwasyon. Ang dami natin nasabi, ang dami natin nagawa, just for a small thing. Tapos pag naalala mo, bakit nga ba ako nagagalit? Tapos ba't ako nagalit doon? So this type of uncontrolled reaction, overreacting, is nangyari nga kay Shringi. Just for a king putting a garland of snake dun sa dad niya, which both may point sila. Both nagkamali rin sila. Pero for that kind of overreacting na curse, that King Pariksit will die in 7 days. Isipin mo yon, an emperor, he was saved by Krishna. He was saved by the Pandavas even. Tapos tinutuloy yung lineage ng mga kings na to. Just for one mistake, he was cursed by a Brahmana boy to die in 7 days. Actually, King Pariksit was very fortunate. Marami nagkatanong, when we were, I think, grade school yata, alam mo yung mga barkada nagkatanong, payag ka, ganito yung mangyayari. Pero tapos lagi kami nagkatanong, yung isang question namin, saan mo gusto pumunta, heaven or hell? Tapos, pag puro heaven, ready ka na mamatay kasi gusto mo sa heaven. Tapos, hindi pa. Isa palagi namin tinatanong is, paano mo gusto mamatay? Gusto mo bang alam mo or biglaan na lang, surprise na lang? Actually, knowing yung time kung kailan tayo mamamatay is a gift. King Pariksit had a chance, meron siyang 7 days, yan, to prepare for his death. Kaya nga actually nangyari tong Srimad Bhagavatam eh. He seek advice sa mga sages, sa mga saintly person, and he was instructed to take shelter kay Sukadeva Goswami, and they went to the banks of a river. Tapos doon niya ni-receive yung Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 straight days. Walang break. Walang recess, walang stretching muna tayo. Walang ganon. Walang take vibe. Hindi ko alam kung meron silang Gayatri break dito. Or ano. Pero dire-diretso. And hindi ka makalpataror galitam palam. They were drinking the nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam through the ears. Just like mature fruit. Diba? Yung fruit na raw na yun, walang buto, walang balat, lahat edible, lahat nectar. 7 days. Diba? He knew kung kailan siya mamamatay. Tayo, we don't know. We might have 70 more years. I don't know, ilang taon na ba ako? 103 years old ako, may 70 years. Pwede pa tayong magkaroon ng 7 years? Pwede tayo magkaroon ng 70 days o 7 months or 7 days din. Or minsan, 7 minutes. Di natin alam. Actually, that's the gift ng sabi ng Yudhishthira Maharaj, sagot niya kay Yaksha, actually his father, in the past time sa Mahabharat. The most wonderful thing is, people are seeing a lot of living entities dying around him. Pero never niya naisip na mangyayari sa kanya yun. In that illusion, it is the most amazing thing. Andiyan si Shama Bihari, of course. Pag nasa hospital ka, makikita mo lahat, di ba? Pero people around, parang, hindi pa mangyayari sa akin yan. Buksan mo lang actually yung cellphone mo eh. O kaya balita. Lagi na may namatay somewhere. May aksidente, may namatay. Diba? Pero yung tao, hindi naman nag-iisip na, may namatay, baka sulod na ako. O kaya ayusin ko na yung buhay ko. Diba? I-settle ko na yung mga problems ko sa family or sa mga friends ko. Diba? O kaya seryoso kaya ako spiritual life kasi baka ako na yung next mamatay. Hindi palagi ganun. We're always thinking in that illusion of youth that we will live forever. Na hindi sa akin mangyayari yung mga nangyayari sa COVID. Hindi mangyayari sa akin yung COVID. Hindi ako mamamatay sa COVID. Unless bigyan mo yung nangyayari sa paligid mo tapos matatauhan ka. Pero sandali lang uli, yung tama nung natauhan ka, nawawala ka agad. So this is the most amazing thing. And King Pariksit taught us how to die. How to prepare for that. Dinaanan na natin to from our previous chapters. Pariksit Maharaj did it. Prepared for that for 7 days. Seek the shelter of his guru. Continuously heard the Srimad Bhagavatam. Meditated on Krishna. And sabi dito, he never actually counteract yung curse ng Brahmana boy. Totoo, kayang-kaya naman niya yun. Ang dami yung Brahmana na pwedeng mag-recite ng mantras para may retract yun, di ba? Pero he did not. Kasi he knew that this is the arrangement of time, which is Krishna rin. Srila Prabhupada taught us how to, the final lesson, how to prepare for that. And even on the deathbed, he was saying to his disciple, he's doing some translation, lectures, and he mentioned to his disciples, don't ever think na hindi mangyayari sa inyo to. Bhishma Dev, tinaanan natin yung death ni Bhishma Dev. On the deathbed, he has this sound consciousness. He's still serving. Alam mo yun, ang dami ng hundreds of arrows na nakatusok sa katawan niya. And he's like floating in the air, hindi siya sumasayan sa lupa because yung mga nakatusok sa kanyang arrows is ayun yung naging stand in between nung soil sa nung body niya. So lahat yung naka-pierce. Ano ginawa niya? He instructed and answered yung mga questions ni Yudhishthira Maharaj in terms of saintly leadership. Then, when the time comes, he meditated on Krishna, the form of Krishna, the pastime of Krishna. He meditated on the pastime sa battlefield nila. Bhishma Dev taught us how to die. So, Maharaj Pariksit taught us how to die, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, actually. So we are talking about Srimad Bhagavatam for 64 episode na. Pero actually, 7 days na nangyari itong buong kwento nila ng Srimad Bhagavatam. Then it was being retold by Sutta Goswami sa mga sages in Naimisaranya, headed by Saunaka Rishi. Actually, si Saunaka Rishi, present din siya. Yung nagkatanong neto, present din siya sa ibang nangyari. Alam ko, present din siya dun sa pastime ni Bhishmadev. Pero he want to hear sa kanyang guru. Text number 3. We all respectfully want to hear about him, Maharaj Pariksit, to whom Sukadev Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge. Please speak on this matter. So we could see here that the characteristic and attitude of a disciple or a student, they're in the mood of request, in the mood of humility, in talking to their spiritual teacher, the spiritual master. We all respectfully want to hear. Parang di ko naririnig yun sa mga normal na mga bata. Kaya teacher, di ba sa Mother Moksha teacher yan. Teacher, we want to respectfully hear kung ano yung sagot sa quiz number 2. Of course, iba yung jargon sa mga students ngayon. Pero ganun yung mood. Yeah, please speak on this matter. Very respectful, eloquent. Ganun sila magsalita. What if ganito magsalita yung mga tao sa modern times na? Alas. Siguro walang mag-aaway sa miscommunication. Sukadev Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge to Maharaj Pariksit during these remaining 7 days of his life. Pero si Maharaj Pariksit was in proper mood in hearing. Actually, it was being mentioned here that in the 9 processes of devotional service, they perfected yung chanting and hearing. Saravanam Kirtanam. And habang nagkakaroon ng class ng Srimad Bhagavatam, hindi lang yung nakikinig yung benefited. Actually, the most who will get the benefit of this is the speaker. So thank you for letting me get the benefit of the studies sa Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Sabi nga, if you want to learn much more, you have to teach it. So you're letting me and giving me the privilege. Maraming salamat. So sabi nga sa 9 process of Bhakti Yoga, of devotional service, even one yung ma-perfect mo doon, you will experience that. Just like Akrura, si Akrura, yung tito nila Krishna, perfected his life by prayers. Before he entered Vrindavan to fetch Krishna, na masakit sa puso ng mga gopis, he prayed in the right mood how to enter in Vrindavan. So if you want to go to India, gusto mo punta ng Vrindavan or Mayapur, or gusto mo punta ng temple or to have darshan with the guru, read yung pastime and prayers ni Akrura. He will put us in the right mood. He will teach us, or maybe he would guide us. Yan. Actually, kunwari share Prabhupada dito, ang daming mga nagkukwento ng Srimad Bhagavatam in a form na professional. They could speak much more better. It's like a public speaking seminar. Diba? They will attract a lot of people, hundreds and thousands, mga pandals, makikita mo sa India, maraming ganun. Pero not all of these teachers are bona fide. Some of them are just really professional. Work nila yon. And Prabhupada is being always emphasizing na we should be careful with the bogus gurus. Meron nga daw kinakwento ni Prabhupada sa purport na yung spiritual master will inject like a kuryente. Tapos makuryente yung disciple. Tapos magising niya, elevated na siya. Napasa na raw yung knowledge. So, yung mga ganitong bogus na nauso ngayon, pag binasa mo yung Srimad Bhagavatam, hindi mo makikita yon, no? Yung mga pakulo nila. No? Walang ganon. No? Or gagawa sila ng, uso sa Netflix to, may isang docu. Gawa sila ng society na free sex for all. Mag-a-attract talaga yung mga tao yun kasi ayun yung basehan ng kanilang lifestyle. Walang restriction. Hippie times, diba? Of course, again yung sentro, hindi si Krishna, magkaagulo. When Krishna Kshetra Swami was here in the Philippines, he was explaining that a lot of times people are creating community. Diba? Even the hippie times, gagawa sila ng commune. If napanood mo yung movie ni Leonardo da Vinci on the beach, si Danny Boyle gumawa nun. Magaling na, filmmaker. Gumawa sila sa island ng isang community. Diba? Pero nagkagulo. Kasi they're not guided by the principles of the scriptures and by Krishna. Hindi nila sentro si Krishna. Kahit anong community or group, pag walang di sentro si Krishna, ang daming issue sa loob. Yan. Yung sa movie na yun, nag-agawan sila ng asawa, diba? Sex was there, tapos uncontrolled yung mga urges, yung mga senses. In all other communion, ganun nangyayari yun. And Krishna Seto Swami mentioned na pag wala si Krishna sa community, hindi basta-basta mag-work yung community. If there is Krishna, there's a temple, everyone's point of love and attention and effort is going papunta kay Krishna. And if may ganon na nangyayari, that's the only chance that one could have peaceful community. And that's actually what Srila Prabhupada have created. He built a home that everyone could live. House. He built a house that everyone can live. Everywhere around the world, diba? Devotee ka na, kunyari, Shami Bihari, to travel sa India. Punta siya sa another ISKCON temple. Same. Kahit di kayo magkapareho ng language, same feel, same home vibes. Diba? The prasadam, the kirtan, the relationship. Without this, hindi mangyayari yun. So, ang daming bogus na lumalabas na mga gurus and ang dami na pinapakulo. Ang dami na mga gimmick. Diba? They wanted much more. The goal is sa kanila is disciple, all material things, fame and all. Hindi si Krishna. Diba? They will have a lot of talks and all. Tapos at the end of it, yung essence, sila pala yung God. You are God, I am God. Pero mas advanced akong God, so you worship me. Pag wala si Krishna doon, it will be like really bogus. The sages of Naimisaranya were very respectful in hearing about Maharaj Pariksit, because of his receiving knowledge from Sukadeva Goswami by means of ardent hearing. This is how important hearing is. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna always instructed, hear from me, Krishna, Arjuna. Just hear. Shrinu. Sobrang importante hearing because this process is the one we could only get the spiritual knowledge. Of course, during those times, much more advanced yung mga tao. And Vyasadeva have to put this, the Vedic, the learning in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, into a book. He have to compile it in the book because the start of the Kali Yuga, people will be forgetful. Hindi na sila Surutidara. Surutidara is, once na marinig mo yung teaching sa'yo ng guru mo, once, isang beses lang, matandaan mo na yon. Photographic memory. You could repeat it. Parang ginagawa nila Sukadeva Goswami. Narinig niya yun sa, narinig niya yun sa, habang nasa womb pa siya. Narinig niya kay Vyasadeva. Tapos si Sukadeva Goswami, he spoke in the audience and talking to Pariksit Maharaj. Narinig si Sutta Goswami. And Sutta Goswami is now speaking this to the sages in Naimisaranya, headed by Saunaka Rishi. So, naririnig na nila. Wala silang notebook doon sa may manual, saka may module. So, yeah, this time, of course, kailangan nakasulat siya. Still, this is a form of hearing. And we must study the Srimad Bhagavatam in association of with devotees. And in the right mood of respect and proper hearing and listening. Sabi nga, listening is love. There is no, sabi dito ni Prabhupada, ardent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive transcendental knowledge. And there is no need for medical performances or occult mysticism for miraculous effect. Hindi mo kailangan ng gimmick. Diba? Hearing is the right process. The process is simple, but only the sincere party can achieve the desired result. In sincerity to hear. There was a pastime, I forgot the name of the sannyasi. Nagbigay siya ng class. And then, ganito na siya Bhagavatam ki. Tapos na, bow down na lahat. Tapos paalis na siya. Tapos may isang brahmachari tumatakbo papunta doon sa sannyasi na yon. Maharaj, please give me your blessing. Ang sabi ng Maharaj na yon, the blessing is finished. Tapos nagkataka yung brahmachari na, teka lang, paano mauubos yung blessing? How? Tapos hindi siya gumagalaw. Nag-aantay siya ng explanation. Then sabi nung sannyasi, sinabi doon sa isang devotee nakinig doon sa class, tell him, ano yung blessing? Ba't ubos na? Sabi nung devotee na nag-explain doon sa brahmachari nang hingi ng blessing. All the blessings from sadhus, from spiritual teacher, the gurus, the best blessing na makukuha natin sa alna is through hearing, attending their lectures. So we must take advantage sa mga nangyayaring mga classes, of course, of Guru Maharaj. A lot of gurus now are giving classes online. It's a golden era sa lectures kasi you could go different places. Mapakinggan mo yung mga great personalities. Kahit di ka pumunta sa temple nila in remote places, you could have a chance to hear their nectar, their blessing. That's actually the real blessing. Okay, he can bless you like this and all. But the greatest blessing that you could receive is the ardent hearing, listening to the lecture. So we would really observe a lot of sannyasis, gurus, senior devotees. Pag nag-lecture sila, di ba? Nalagyan sinasabi, I was listening to Srila Prabhupada this morning. Laging ganun, di ba? Lagi sila nakikinig ng Srila Prabhupada, mga katha pastime. And they have the audio recordings. So, sobrang importante to hear. Instead of us hearing a lot of mundane things. Diba? Andyan na. Uploaded na sa kahit saan ng mga lectures. Punta ka sa SoundCloud, punta ka sa Spotify, punta ka sa YouTube, diba? Hindi ka lang makakataas. Choice na lang natin yung kung gusto lang natin tumambay sa mga series of Netflix. Or, diba, we could binge sa Srimad Bhagavatam instead of other series. Anyway, ito naman yung pinakagrabing magandang series of actions, adventures, learnings, di ba? Grabe yung Srimad Bhagavatam. If you want much more stories, you could read, of course, Mahabharat. You could read Krishna book. Diba? Totally makes sense. Yung mga knowledge na will make sense. So this ardent hearing, a student or a disciple should be in that mood of request and mood of humility. At the same time, choose kung kanino makikinig, a genuine spiritual master. And of course, if one is hearing from genuine guru, he will hear a genuine teachings coming from Krishna and his disciples and his devotees. Text number 4. Masasagot na si Sutta Goswami. Sri Sutta Goswami said, Emperor Yudhishthira administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like his father. Si Pandu yun. He had no personal ambition and was freed from all sorts of sense gratification because of his continuous service unto the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So, kinakwento rito ni Sutta Goswami yung lolo ni Pariksit Maharaj. Bago pinasa sa kanya. Binalik muna yung story. Kasi paano siya pinanganak, paano siya namatay, saan siya pumunta after. May backstory kagad. Para si Narada Muni, kunento niya yung buhay niya. Ang backstory, nung bata pa ako, hindi ganon. Ang backstory ni Narada Muni, during my previous life, ganon siya. So, Sutta Goswami is telling story, starting the answer of the story kay Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yung previous emperor, which is lolo actually ni King Pariksit yun. Tatay niya si Abhimanyu. Then, si Pandavas. As mentioned in our introduction, there is a need for the science of Krishna in human society for all the suffering humanity of the world. For all the suffering humanity of the world. And we simply request the leading personalities of all nations to take to the science of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society. That is why it is important to share this Krishna consciousness. Um, what do you call this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preach it to everyone. No discrimination actually. But he didn't say na dun lang tayo sa mga those who are poor or those of mass of people, dun lang kayo mag-preach. He said everyone. And he even gave a lot of emphasis in preaching to the kings, to the leaders. Kasi it will give a lot of effect if the leaders of the society is Krishna conscious. I don't know if babalik tayo dun sa scenario na yung emperor, yung mga king, or sabihin mo na yung mga presidente ng mundo is Krishna conscious. Hindi ko alam kung pupunta doon since we're in the Kali Yuga. But we should try our best to make this science of Krishna consciousness reach yung mga leaders ng society. It'll make a big difference. During Sri Prabhupada's time, nagkaroon ng party na gano'n ng mga devotees that they want to run sa mga as a politician. Of course, it was a too big endeavor and Prabhupada said, maybe not this time. Pero yeah, to preach, to send the books and all. Sri Prabhupada mentioned to preach to those who are educated, college preaching, when the bus party of Radha Damodar is roaming around in different states in America. He specifically emphasized na if you're going to some universities, it is nonsense that you will stay there for one day and move around. Find better people, those who are really interested, spend some time, impart knowledge, plant the seed before you go. Again, it doesn't mean that you will have to neglect others, those in the other social orders. But there's an emphasis. You could see this in the history of the Philippines. Search mo sa YouTube, preaching to the powerful. His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami met the previous president, Marcos, Cardinal Sin, diba? Presented the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Ito, nakikita mo. And they were talking, and Srila Gurudev or Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj is speaking about actually preaching about the Srimad Bhagavatam to the president. And that is actually introduction ng Srimad Bhagavatam, sabi ni Prabhupada. It is meant for everyone, but also it doesn't exclude yung mga leaders. Kailangan malaman din nila yung Srimad Bhagavatam, this consciousness. Why? Because they have influence. They have power in their position. They have leadership. It could affect much more. Bakit natin palagi pinag-uusapan to? And bakit, lagi isang tanong ko rin dati yun bakit puro king yun na lang yung puro king na lang yung example sa Srimad Bhagavatam? Wala nang king ngayon. Because of this, mga example ng mga leaders. The leaders in the scriptures are very much in line sa scriptures because they have a guru, they're guided by the sages, yung mga advisors nila. They have sadhanas, diba? They are not materially attached. It was being mentioned here. No personal ambition. Sabi ni Prabhupada dun sa verse. Translation. And was freed from all sorts of sense gratification. Hindi siya pumunta sa position para i-feed yung ego niya, siya yung leader. Or mas magkarbong buhay. No, hindi nga siya attached doon si King Yudhishthira. This is not the case with the presidents and the dictators of this demoralized system of administration, where the lower animals are given no protection, while the higher animals are given so much so-called protection. So just like in the micro perspective, you would see kung ano yung meron ngayon. Some will have protection na bawal kainin to, bawal patayin yung hayop na yon. Tapos some are allowed na mass massacre nga tawag dun sa mga slaughterhouse na kasi itong animal na to lower daw. So this kind of system na ginawa ng modern society ng mga modern leaders is doesn't really how do you call align sa real value, real culture ng humanity. What more pa yung sabi nga ng previous chapter natin, the leaders are living in a posh way, living outside yung mga subordinate or yung mga sinasakupan niya ng mga residents in the congested slum areas. In those time, in Hastinapur, in Dwarka, hindi nangyayari yan. Because they have very great leaders. The gift of nature, the resources are given equally or accordingly sa mga tao. Wala makita nag-hoard nun. They're not giving the resources, the food, the grains to the slaughterhouse. Tapos, tons of food and water will be wasted because kailangan pakainin yung mga sa animal agriculture to produce what? Few pounds of meat, few burgers. Diba? Isang tao lang mabubusog. Compared dun sa thousands of pounds and kilos na mga ipapakain sa kanila ng mga grains. Diba? So, ang daming pwedeng mapakain nun. So, yes, this kind of leadership, we could dream. We could try our best. Diba? We could pray for it. If it will happen, Krishna's arrangement, it will happen. So this, sabi nga, the science, by knowing the science of Krishna, one can become the most perfect man in the world. In either Dharma or Varna ashram, we are leaders, we are in a Brahminical order, the priestly order, we are in the Vaishya, the mga businessmen, or in the labor class. In whatever status. Pero kailangan na malaman is yung Krishna consciousness. Because we could live our life accordingly. Bakit in-explain Sri Prabhupada to? Because King Yudhishthira is doing this perfectly. Guided siya ni Krishna. Guided siya ng mga sages. Ever since, and he's a virtuous king. He was doing this during that time, and the people from sa sinasakupan niya is very much satisfied. The king, like Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was the personality of goodness. So, ganun. Personality of goodness yung tawag sa kanya. Sobrang importante to and sobrang kailangan ng humanity. Punta natin yung text number 5. Because of his great leadership, news even reached the celestial planets about Maharaj Yudhishthira's worldly possessions, the sacrifices by which he would attain a better destination, his queen, his stalwart brothers, his extensive land, his sovereignty over the planet Earth, and his fame, etc. So, merong mga sikat na tao. Sino ba yung mga sobrang sikat ngayon? Sabi mo na dun si Elon Musk. I don't know kung kilala niya siya. Kung hindi niya siya kilala, hindi siya ganun kasikat. Pero, almost sa about ibang bansa, medyo kilala siya. Sabi mo lang si Steve Jobs. Diba? But not all knows him. Pero, it will reach in far lands of different countries sa mundo. Hanggang doon na lang. So, those who are famous in this world will be famous for few years or few land areas. Pero not all, diba, in this world. But King Yudhishthira, even 5,000 years ago, hanggang ngayon pinag-uusapan natin siya. Hindi lang yon, hindi lang sa mundong to. Diba? Anyway, in different cultures, andun din yung Mahabharat. Diba? Andiyan sa Indonesia and also so kilala si Yudhishthira Maharaj. Pero hindi nga lang doon sa mundong to. Kasi even the celestial planets, all the 3 worlds, heavenly planets and lower planetary system, kilala si Yudhishthira Maharaj. Bakit? Yung mga possessions niya, yung mga brothers niya, yung mga administrators niya, the queens, diba? How he is ruling the earth Krishna consciously. Yung renunciation niya doon sa material na mga bagay. Doon siya famous. Hindi lang dito sa mundong to. And even other planets. So, hanap tayo ng sikat na tao ngayon. Diba? Kahit gano'n ka pa ka-viral sa internet. Um, if kila ka ng mga demigods, sikat ka na talaga. Pero hindi. If hindi, you wouldn't be equal to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So yes, gusto ng mga tao to eh. Pumunta sa ibang planets. Ravana even did this, 'di ba? I was reading yung other part ng perspective sa Ramayan, the Game of Life. It was being mentioned there yung mga demigods na si Vayu saka si sino tong isa? Um, I forgot yung rope. So nag-ano sila yung snake na ano na demigod. Nagkapaliksaan sila sino magaling. And they have to wrap around yung snake. Ni-wrap around niya yung body niya sa Bumandala, sa Mount Meru. Tapos kailangan i-shake yun. Tapos si Vayu will blow strong wind. Then may nalaglag na rock. Ayun yung naging Lanka. Ayun yung Sri Lanka ngayon. And because of that, doon din tumira si Ravana. Si Ravana is a demon. And gusto niya makapunta sa ibang planets. Gusto niya puntahan yung mga demigods. Alam mo yung ginagawa niya? Ni-create siya ng Stairway to Heaven. So, totoo yun, yung kantang Stairway to Heaven. May gumawa talaga nun sa history. Pero again, it's very impossible. Diba? Hindi nangyari yun. Diba? We would have a lot of scientists now who wants to go to other planets. What's the assurance? Very nil to none. Diba? Very little to none. So, sobrang imposible. There's no forceful entry para makapunta dun sa other planetary system. What's the best way? To die. You cannot go there using this body. At easily, pag namatay ka, kung you're meant to be in the other planets, punta ka dun. Diba? Lower planetary system, a hellish planet or heavenly planet. Automatic punta ka dun. Or the yogi could do that sometimes. Pero no forceful in the material using matter to go there. It's actually being chastised by other saintly people na, you will spend billions and billions of dollars to have a rocket go to what planet? Tapos anong gagawin doon? Same. Birth, death, old age, and disease. And anong activities nila? Eat, sleep, defend, and mate. Same. Anong difference dun sa earth na to? Tapos you will, one will exhaust yung resources dito, be unequal sa mga tao, leaving the poor hungry, tapos spending this money just to go up. Tapos pagdating doon, anong mangyayari? Same activities. So instead of wasting this time, we don't know if we have 7 days or 7 hours or 7 years. Use the time and energy to be Krishna conscious. Text number 6. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. Even King Yudhishthira, an emperor, have all the things that one could dream of. Diba? Even nga yung mga demigods in the heavenly planets, grabe na yung wealth nila doon. They wanted pa yung wealth ni King Yudhishthira. Pero si Yudhishthira, wala. Renounce. Detached. Diba? He is using it, but he's very detached. Why and how? Because he is completely absorbed. Yung meditation niya is to do devotional service kay Krishna. That is actually the key. Diba? Maraming nagdadasal sa Diyos, maraming nagdadasal kay Krishna. Kapag nahihirapan tayo, diba? There is also in the four pious person, Sukritinas, that approaches Krishna in the 7th chapter sa Bhagavad Gita. Diba? The distress, the inquisitive, those who are also the those who want transcendental knowledge, and those who are in need of money. Maraming mahihirap na dasal ng dasal. The question is, pag nandyan na yung wealth na gusto mo, Maalala mo pa kaya si Krishna? Pag andyan yung success or masaya ka, diba, maalala mo ba si Krishna? Or masaya yung puso mo? Hindi ka broken-hearted. Saya ka. May lokohan kami rito. Pre-COVID yun. Na ano, where do broken hearts go? Braj Eco Village. Ang dami kasi napunta dito na broken heart. Hindi sila nagkasagada dito na sa Braj Eco. They approach Krishna kapag alam mo yung malungkot and all. Pero pag masaya ka, naalala mo ba si Krishna? King Yudhisthira, even having all the wealth, di ba? Yung family niya, tapos the control, the power, and all. It's not being disturbed. The greatest enemy of a leader is the success. False ego could creep in. Or even us. Let's say not leader. The greatest enemy ng growth mo, even those creative, those artists, diba, is the success. So, si King Yudhisthira is not a victim of this. With all dualities, matras parsas tu kontaya sitos na suka dukada agamapiyo nityas tam sidik sa babarata. He could tolerate the dualities, happiness and distress. Even as a stage ng happiness, it's temporary. The real goal is serving Krishna. He is in the mood and he is satisfied only by rendering loving service for the satisfaction of the Lord. He is not bewildered. He is not, mamaya na ako mag-Hare Krishna, mag-rule muna ako ng world. Busy ako. No. For sure, wala mas be busy sa schedule niya. Kung sasabihin mong busy ka kaya di ka nakapag-chant ngayon, wala mas be busy sa schedule niya. But he's still doing that. He is not being attached. He is not being bewildered. Diba? And he is the master of his senses. Di tayo servant of the senses. Because again, how we could start to become like that is to become Krishna conscious. In the second paragraph, Sri Prabhupada mentioned, the whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for food or good food, shelter or sense gratification. The hunger is for the spiritual atmosphere. It is very true. People are hungry for food for the soul. Even those who are in well-to-do families, even those people who are hindi naman financially affected ng pandemic, diba? Kahit stable sila, diba? They have food for the table, sila yung nagdo-donate dun sa community pantry. Bakit nila kailangan gawin yung mga bagay na ganito? Because they're very hungry sa spiritual atmosphere. They will not be satisfied doing this other things, even philanthropic activities. They're hungry for food for the soul. So ano lang yung mga yon? That is Krishna consciousness. And a great leader, just like King Yudhisthira Maharaj, is yung main na plataforma niya sa mundo is to facilitate everyone sa kanilang mga spiritual life. And for everyone, make sure niya na makabalik sila back to Godhead. Diba? Byproduct na lang i-maintain niya yung mga tao. I-maintain niya na please yung mga demigods so there will be enough rain, there will be enough good weather. Please niya yung mga tao and all. Even, sabi nga doon, di sila namamatay ng anak before the father, the parents. It will be the fault of the king. Sisisihin sila. The weather, lahat. Pero with all these responsibilities and duties, King Yudhisthira knows the first priority is to spread Krishna consciousness to others. Having that power and that influence. And kasi alam niya that these citizens of the world is hungry. Completely hungry. So I know everyone is hungry for the real prasadam. I'll make it longer. We should maintain this body, but we should always honor yung mga food for the soul natin. Aside from prasadam, the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We have the access, diba? There will be no There will be no excuse no more na, hindi ako makapunta ng temple, di ba? Give me blessings, give me, I doubt na wala kang load for for classes. Kung wala ka talaga load for classes, let me know. Pero I doubt may load ka for attending classes. Andyan yung English, andyan yung Tagalog, andyan yung Chinese, kung anong language pa. It is us. Choice na natin yon where to beg for blessing. Saan tayo hingi ng blessing pagtapos na yung mga blessings, which is the classes? Diba? So there's enough ways, 100 ways to receive that blessings, to feed our soul with this spiritual food, this that will make a spiritual atmosphere. And we also have our Japamala. This is a free access to Krishna. You just need your attention, your love and devotion in chanting. So maraming salamat for attending our Braj Bhakti Academy Monk in the Middle podcast in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Tomorrow we will have again our lovely brothers, Rajnath Prabhu and Navadip Chandra Prabhu. So nagigets nyo na yung schedule namin. No? Pag busy sila being a dad and being a pujari, it will be, ako yung tolerate yung pakinggan. Pero the sweetness of their knowledge and nectar, we will hear, I think, regularly Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And every day, andun yan. And yes, for those who are listening from the batch 4 ng ating meditation and yoga philosophy, kita-kita tayo 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Then, ano ba kayo, Sabado? Yeah, Sabado, Saturday. Very special tonight. Navadip Chandra Prabhu will discuss in Little Temple, a course where one could make their own sacred space in their own home, making it a little temple. He will discuss about Lord Jagannath. So yung mga Jagannath back to dito. Maraming salamat. Please take care and kita-kits tayo. A lot of announcement and classes will be posted sa ating group chat. Hare Krishna. Grantala Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Ripol. Carla, Mother Moksha, Riza, JM, Rolly, Prabhu Shama Bihari, si Jonah, si Christine, Paolo, and those who are watching sa ating Facebook Live. Hare Krishna.